Hello there again, boys and girls. We're back at it doing morning work. So today in this video, I'm going to help you complete morning work week 18, day 1 and 2. Now, hopefully you've already done it, and now you're just going to check your work against mine. Listen to me think out loud like a third grader. If you haven't done it, I'm going to pause from time to time to give you some time to complete some of the questions. And by the time we're done, hopefully each one of the skills makes sense to you. Okay, let's start with the first one. It says, write a related multiplication sentence. So the division sentence is 45 divided by 5 equals 9. Now, I think it's really important to underline a related multiplication sentence. They don't want a related division sentence. So what multiplication sentence could I write? I could write two different ones, actually. So I could write 5 times 9 equals 45. But I could also switch my factors around and write 9 times 5 equals 45. That's the good old commutative property of multiplication. Remember, buy one, get one free. Learn one math fact and get another one free. That was pretty easy. All right, let's go to this next one. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. They're asking you to write the matching multiplication fact. So I'm going to give you just a moment to see what fact you might write in case you don't have this done. Okay, so compare what you wrote, if you had a chance to finish it, to what I'm going to write. So I'm going to look up here and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 threes. So the multiplication fact I would write would be 6 groups of 3 equals, and then I can skip count by 3 6 times. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. My answer is 18, just in case you don't have that fact memorized. All right, you could write 3 times 6 equals 18, but when I look at this repeated addition sentence, what do I see? I see 6 threes, and that's how we would write 6 times 3 in unit form. We would write 6 threes. Okay, next one is the clock. What time is shown on the clock? I'm going to give you a minute to write down your answer for that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do when I tell time, remember the saying Mrs. Reed uses that a student taught me years ago was little kids go first. So that means I look at the little hand first, which is this hand right here, and it is between the 11 and the 12. So that actually means that it is 11 something. Hours go first. Little hand goes first. And now I've got to figure out the minutes. The minute hand is the big hand, so it's this one right here. And it's touching the edge of the clock right here. And I think I've told you before, I don't like these questions because they're not giving us the tick marks in between the numbers. But we can skip count by 5s, and then we'll estimate to skip count by 1s or count on by 1. So 5, 10, 15, and then let's say it's 2 more minutes. So 11:15, 11:16, 11:17. If you put 11:16, I'd certainly say that that was okay too. All right, but we're going to write 11:17 for that one. And the last one for day 1 says put 7 moons into sets of 1. Okay, so I need sets of 1, and all together I'm going to have 7 moons. Wants to know how many sets we would make. So first of all, I'm going to make 1 set of 1. Here's my moon, and I'm going to circle it. That's my first set of 1. We all agree that's a set of 1. Well, I have to do 7 moons. That's my first one. Let's draw another moon. Okay, that's another set of 1. And I'm going to keep drawing moons until I get to 7 moons. So this is my moon number 3, my moon number 4, my moon number 5. That was a good idea to draw my numbers first. My moon number 6. And last, my moon number 7. So you can see that I have 7 moons, and it wants them again. What does it say? Let's go back, sets of 1. So here's another set of 1, and here's another set of 1. So we're starting to see then I'm going to end up with the same number of sets as I have moons, because there's only one moon in each set. So if we look at our picture, how many sets did we create? We created 7 sets. And hopefully that makes sense. It's a little confusing. When it gets so simple that you just have one in each set, it almost gets a little confusing. Okay. All right, our next one on the first question on day 2. Show 2 ways to solve this problem. Well, the problem is 3 times 5 times 2. There are 3 factors, okay? And I have to make a decision on what order I want to multiply them. So the first time, I'm going to group 3 times 5 with these things called parentheses. What are they called? That's right, parentheses. So when I put the parentheses on, that shows how I'm thinking. Which factors am I going to multiply first? So I put my parentheses around 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is 15. I still have to multiply by my last factor, which is 2. So it's 15 times 2, which seems like it's difficult, but it's really 15 twice, or 15 plus 15. And hopefully you can do that mentally. So 15 times 2 is 30. Now it did say show 2 ways. We've only showed one so far. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write that again. I'm going to type it so it's nice and neat. So we have 3 times 5 times 2. And I have to solve this one. Well, before I grouped the 3 and the 5. So this time, what do you suggest we put our parentheses around? That's right. Let's put them around the 5 and the 2. So we're just shifting our parentheses like we've done before. And now 5 times 2 is 10. And I still need to multiply by my 5. So we end up with the fact 3 times 5, or 3 times 10, and that will give us 30 as well. So what do we notice? We notice our answers are the same. And what does that tell us? When we have 3 factors, we can multiply them in any order we choose. Okay. All right, next ones are just some pretty simple multiplication facts. So I'm going to give you a minute to fill those in. We have 7 times 2, 6 times 8, and 8 times 4. Let's see how many you can get right. Okay, very good. So 7 times 2 is 14. 2 ways I can do that. I can say 7 plus 7 is 14, or I can skip count by 2 7 times. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, or I can do 7, 14. You're right. Next one is 6 times 8. So I can skip count by 8 6 times, or I can skip count by 6 8 times. Okay, I'm going to skip count by 8 6 times, because the way I read that, I read 6 groups of 8. So I'm going to do 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. See my fingers? 6 8s. My answer is 48. And the last one is 8 times 4. So you can skip count by 4 8 times, because we can read that as 8 groups of 4. Or you could skip count by 8 4 times if you were just to reverse it. So we just skip counted by 8. So let's skip count by 8 again, 4 times. So 8, 16, 24, 32. Our answer is 32. If we did skip count by 4 8 times, we should get the same answer. So I'm going to get my fingers ready. You can get yours ready too. And we're going to go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. There's my 8 4s. Okay, it's a little easier to skip count by 4s. So, all right. Our next one is a rounding problem. Really important when we read a rounding problem that we know if they've told us a place that we need to round to. It says round each number to the nearest 10. So I'm going to underline that. And it says then subtract. So I'm going to look at 765. You guys have gotten really good at rounding. If I round that to the nearest 10, that will be 770. That's the closest 10. If I were rounding it to the nearest 100, it would be 800. But again, they asked us to round to the nearest 10. Okay. 323, round that to the nearest 10, that would be 320. Because it's only 3 away from 320, my other choice would be 330, and it's 7 away from that. Okay, now maybe you can do this mentally, but just in case you can't, you can always do the algorithm over here on the corner of your page. Remember, it is asking us to subtract, so 770 minus 320. Remember, you always start with the ones. 0 minus 0 equals 0. 7 tens minus 2 tens equals 5 tens. And 700s minus 300s equals 400s. So our answer is 450. Hopefully you got that as well. And then our last question, and we got some pretty easy word problems today. It says, Jeremy uses 4 towels each time he washes his dad's car. So we got 4 towels each time. He has washed his dad's car 2 times this month. So he's done that twice. How many towels did he use in all? Well, I'm going to draw a little picture here. He used 4 towels the first time he washed it, and he used 4 towels the second time he washed it. So when I look at this, what do I see? I see 2 groups of 4. So I can write the multiplication sentence, 2 times 4, whoops, equals 8. And my answer for how many towels did he use in all, my answer would be 8 towels. And there you have it, boys and girls, week 18, day 1 and 2. Nice job. I hope you were able to keep up. Remember, you can always go back and stop the video if you need time to catch up. All right, see you tomorrow.